Hey guys, today we are going to be looking at the last battle of the American Revolutionary War, the Battle of Yorktown in 1781. So at this point, George Washington and his French allies Lafayette and Rochambeau had been working together for a few years. They had had victory after victory and had pushed the British army back, so they only held one small part of Virginia. That small part of Virginia was called Yorktown, and it was right on the Chesapeake Bay. So the British forces in Yorktown were commanded by a general named Cornwallis. And General Cornwallis knew that he was in danger, but he thought he would be able to get supplies from the British Navy, from the British fleet, who would be able to sail up the Chesapeake Bay and bring him his supplies. The Americans and the French had other ideas. They sent the French Navy down to block the Chesapeake Bay, so General Cornwallis was not able to get his supplies at Yorktown because the French Navy blocked the Chesapeake Bay. Then Generals Washington, Rochambeau, and Lafayette sent in their soldiers to surround General Cornwallis and the British forces at Yorktown. You can see these little lines here, like around the British forces, which you see in red, and even around this group of British forces you see in red over here. These little lines show the places where forts were built on this battlefield. So once again, anywhere you see these little lines, this is somewhere one of the two sides built a fort on the battlefield. So the British were surrounded by the Americans and by the French. The Americans were led by George Washington and his personal assistant, a man named Alexander Hamilton. The French were led by the Comte de Rochambeau and the Marquis de Lafayette. After a few days of fighting, the British surrendered to the Americans and their French allies. General Cornwallis, the British commander, was too embarrassed to surrender personally, so he sent one of his officers to surrender to George Washington. The French officer tried to disrespect George Washington by giving his sword, or sorry, the British officer tried to disrespect George Washington by surrendering to the French instead, but the French would not let him disrespect George Washington and forced him to surrender directly to George Washington. This was the end of the American Revolutionary War. The Americans and their French allies had defeated the British. All right, guys, have a good day. I'll talk to you later.